What's going on, everybody? My name is Dave. Thanks for checking out my channel. For those of you that don't know me, I'm an online reseller. I buy things at local thrift stores, Goodwills, Facebook Marketplace, and I flip them online, primarily eBay, for some pretty cool profits. In today's video, I'm going to tell you how I won my very first PayPal dispute. Stick around. All right, welcome back, everybody. So again, if you don't know me or you do know me and you do enjoy this type of content, hit that like button, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell to let you know every time I post a new video. It greatly helps the channel and I really do appreciate it. In today's video, I'm gonna go over quite a few things. The main issue is, like I mentioned at the very beginning of this video, is I finally had my very first PayPal dispute and I won. So I wanna take you through the steps that I took from start to finish in terms of how this came about to how it ended. And then I'm going to take you along and show you the items that I ship out for the day. I'm going to hit up a thrift store, so I'm going to bring you along, for the ride. See if we can find some pretty cool stuff. So should be an informative video. Hopefully it's another fun video like the last one. I just wanted to put out there, my last video is totally misleading by accident. My dad calls me after he watched the video. He's like, so what did you do? You made $800 in sales on 2 pairs of shoes? No, Dad, I just totally forgot to film the other 6 items that I sold. So yeah, the last video that I put up, $800 in sales minus the $150 for that item that I had to refund because the battery was dead. But yeah, I had a bunch of items that I meant to throw screenshots up and just talk about what they were, because I had already shipped them out Friday because they were early Friday morning purchases, and I totally forgot. So I'm new at this still. I'm still learning. Give me feedback. Let me know if something looks out of place like that. I'll take it. So, all right, from here, we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna grab the items, I'm gonna ship them out, and then we'll move along from there. Okay, so story time. If this isn't the type of content that you typically like, it's going to be a little long and drawn out. Go ahead and either fast forward to the end or just skip through the rest of the video. But I feel like this is one of those moments where I just really need to explain in detail the things that happened. Again, this is the story about how I had somebody reach out through eBay, try to return an item, and I just don't believe that it was a valid and legit concern and response. So I stood my ground and I fought. And typically when most people fight a return case like this or a refund case like this on eBay, if the seller wins, 9 times out of 10, the buyer just simply then opens another case with PayPal, disputes the transaction through PayPal, and PayPal is usually not as, I would say, understanding and or forgiving in a situation like that for a seller. But most sellers, I hear that if they've won the eBay concern, they'll typically lose the PayPal dispute. So I won both, and I really want to give a good explanation as to what happened and why. Okay, so the item in question is this Conair bath spa that I found at a local thrift store Open box. The box was open, but all the items were like still sealed in like brand new packaging. So I still sold it as open box versus brand new, but I knew the item was never used once before. Everything was in pristine condition, so I had it marked up. This person bought from overseas through the global shipping program. It was an item value of $85, and their total price was $99.40 to have this item shipped to them. So shortly after the buyer had received the item, they had left me positive feedback. The feedback says, top seller, many thanks from the UK for an honest and speedy service, A star star. This was great. I was excited to know that it got to them. I actually think it got to them relatively fast for it being an international shipment. And everything was received. Everything was great. Things were just glorious. This is the Christmas time frame, Q4. Sales were rolling in pretty nice. I was all excited. I was all pumped. So it's just great to see another transaction that made it to one of my customers, or an item that made it to one of my customers, and a transaction complete with 5-star service across the board. Or so I thought. So this item was purchased on November 29th. On December 29th, exactly 1 month later, they opened a return, okay? This return was stated, reason for return, just didn't like it. Under the details, they wrote, it doesn't work, tried 4 different adapters, is broken, girlfriend is very upset, I am furious because of the shipping and taxes were as much as the item itself, bogus seller. This initially ticked me off pretty bad because A, I'm nothing close to a bogus seller. I do absolutely everything to express any type of defects or detail about an item inside of the comment section and the detail section, when I post the item. And I do absolutely everything that I can to make sure that my transactions are as upfront and transparent as possible so my customer knows exactly what they're getting. So this had me just slightly furious, to say the least. So when I received this message, first thing I did was breathe. I needed to just sit back, formulate an appropriate response. Being in their shoes, if something really did happen to the item, I can understand the frustrations. So I responded back to them. I don't remember exactly what I said because I can't see the closed and archived return responses. But it was basically, hello, thank you for reaching out. We're so very sorry that you're going through the experience. We're here to help you along the way. Whatever we can do to make this right, we will make this right. I just need as much information from you as possible. But I don't quite understand how this happened, considering you left me positive feedback a few weeks ago saying everything was great and now everything is broken and I'm a bogus seller. I said, so I'm just really trying to understand a little bit more about what happened. They responded with, hey, thanks for the quick response. I guess I was a bit with the feedback. Gave it to the other half for her Christmas gift. Wanted one for ages and you can't get them in the UK. Anyhow, tried it out last night and it hasn't worked. Followed the instructions to the letter, tried different adapters and the reset. Nothing doing. I would appreciate a return or a refund. Being the shipping and tax was quite a bit, I wouldn't like to miss out on getting this back as we are disabled and on state pensions. I await your response and thanks for your time. Happy New Year, Greg. Now this is a complete flip. It could be one of two things. A, they had a chance to calm down and sort of think through this rationally as well. Or B, they are just full of malarkey. I wasn't sure which one it was. I reached out to eBay through Facebook on their eBay for Business page. I reached out and I said, hello, Happy New Year. My name is Dave Stewart. And then I entered my zip code and my email address. I have an item that is being requested for return and refund that was sent through the global shipping program. The buyer seems very frustrated to the point of stating in the return that I am a bogus seller, but after receiving positive feedback from the same person when the item originally arrived. The item was open box and as noted on the photographs were still in original packaging. I was prompted that I do not need to refund or return, and quite frankly, I would prefer not to as the cost of returning the item internationally would be a complete loss. But I'm seeking guidance on the situation as I also would not want to leave a customer with a potentially broken item that was brand new when shipped. Thank you so much for all that you do. I also gave them the return ID, and then I mentioned that the reason code listed on the return is that it was just didn't like it. So that was January 4th at 12:15 in the morning. The next day, really, or 2 days later, January 5th at 2:50 in the afternoon, somebody reached out and said, "Hey David, I've reviewed this return, and since the buyer opened it as a remorse return, you are not required to accept it. I do understand that the buyer's comments contradict this reason, but since they opened the return that way, we would not change it for them. Since this is an international transaction, you would need to provide a return label for them as well, since we wouldn't be able to generate one. This is completely up to you, and if you'd like to work something out with the buyer, then great. But just know you are not required to accept this return. I hope you have a happy and healthy new year, Ken." Reached back, said, "Thank you so much. I was attempting to provide a full refund, and I kept receiving an error message. I couldn't figure out why. And it's because the original payment was through PayPal versus managed payments. So I was trying to refund through managed payments, but the original purchase was through PayPal. So there was kind of a glitch there. And I'm not going to lie, I'm happy that happened. I didn't want to refund this buyer. I did not believe that I was at fault. And technically, since they opened that as a remorse purchase, I wasn't obligated to refund them, so I denied it. eBay stood by my side. That's when they decided to go through PayPal. So I was certain that since they went through PayPal and opened the dispute, I was going to lose. Here's what happened through PayPal. On January 3rd, this buyer opened up a case. The very first line, sender, I have not received the item. That's the case that they opened. January 3rd, 2021 at 12:41 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I have not received the item. At this point, I was happy and even more furious because this buyer is just trying to do whatever he can to get his money back. So my next step was to respond ASAP with as much information as possible. I was taking screenshots of the tracking information, taking screenshots of the feedback that the buyer left me, screenshots of the conversations we had back and forth on eBay, and I started to add all this in. I responded with, the buyer has received the item and opened a claim stating they didn't just like it, and then that it was broken, and now they never received it. So they opened the claim of, I have not received the item. Now this was the second time they had done this through PayPal. First time, they actually opened it as an item was broken, if I'm not mistaken. And then once they realized that there was no photographic evidence of it being broken and they didn't have that evidence, they needed to go back and reclaim it as a different reason code, which was then that they never received it. So I responded with, the buyer has received the item and opened a claim stating they just didn't like it. Then that it was broken, and now that they have never received it. I believe this to be false/fraudulent, period. So in these photographs that I have attached, the majority of it was the conversations that I had already had with the buyer. First was me reaching out saying, I'm sorry, we're here to help. Them reaching back saying, oh, it's okay, I understand, but it was broken, we're frustrated. And then also mentioning that I had reached out to eBay for Business. I'm waiting their guidance and we would hopefully work this out as fast as possible. With that, I also took screenshots of the item's shipping confirmation that showed they did in fact show valid confirmation of the item receiving at their place. Also, the feedback that they had sent saying they had received the item and that they were happy with it at first. So the next step was I added the tracking information from both the domestic tracking to the global shipping program facility, the tracking information of the company that they had used over in the UK to ship from, I believe, the airport to their home, and then the global tracking number that sort of encompasses both front end and back end until home delivery. I replied again with, Item was received as described as noted in the received feedback from the buyer. The eBay claim was opened as a just don't like it claim. After receiving the below positive feedback, they claimed it was broken, then claim they never received, and now going back and claiming item not as described. So they had changed it yet again from the I did not receive the item to item not as described. According to eBay's policy, this claim was overturned in the seller's favor, and now the attempt is being made through PayPal with a third unique reason code for the return/refund. I do not have an issue providing a refund for an honest issue, but I feel that this is a potentially dishonest claim as noted previously. If PayPal sides in favor of the buyer, I will gladly refund or provide the refund. That was on January 10th. And then from there, I believe the expectation was then on the buyer again to provide anything additional that they didn't already provide in the original case to have on their side of the claim. And long story short, they never provided any additional information because they had no additional information. Everything that had happened from start to finish, I had already included in this claim. Item arrived, confirmation that item arrived, feedback from the buyer that everything was great, the conversations that I had with the buyer once they initiated the refund, the policy claim from eBay stating that it was not my responsibility to provide that refund, and then showcasing each of the unique times that they had changed and adjusted the reason code on their claim. And long story short, PayPal decided to say, we sided with the seller. So, a few things that I think you need to take away from here. A, stand behind your service. By all means, if something is broken and they can show that they can showcase that they did in fact have it arrive broken, there's photographic evidence, and whatever the case may be, and the parameters make sense, provide the refund. For me, I think I might have just gotten a little lucky because there was some technicalities there where they opened the claim incorrectly the first time. Therefore, there was no responsibility on my end whatsoever to provide them with that feedback. But at the same time, the global shipping program does have ways to protect the seller, even if they did file it correctly. So not only stand behind your service and your performance, but have good customer service. And I say this from the initial response that I had with that buyer. I reached out to them. We're so sorry. We're here to help out. Every time I've had a refund, that's exactly what I do. I reach out. I let them know how genuinely sorry we are. We're there with them throughout the entire process. We're typically initiating the conversations first to say, hey, listen, I haven't seen any movement. I'm reaching back out. I'm trying to understand what's going on here. Whatever we can do to help out, we'll make it easier. And I still had positive feedback from most of the items that I have refunded simply because the customer has had a very positive experience, even though they did not get to keep the item, because we've been there to support them. We've provided them the refund. We've been there to help through in and throughout. I did the exact same thing here, but I just didn't find it necessary to provide them that refund, and I felt like something was off, which brings me to my last section. Follow your gut. If you don't feel like something makes sense, question it. 100% question it. It might work out for you. It might not work out for you, but don't disregard instinct, in my opinion. If I would have disregarded my instinct, I would have gone back and I would have figured out how to provide them that refund through PayPal, and I just would have closed it just to let bygones be bygones. But something just told me this didn't make sense. The item was perfect. The packaging when I originally shipped it was in great condition. It just didn't make sense that this would have shown up as bad as it was, and the way they reacted up front just it raised some red flags. So, like I said, have faith in your service and your product. Have great customer service. Trust your gut. Trust your instincts. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then last but not least, keep great notes one way or the other. The fact that I'd gone through, once this conversation started getting weird, I just instinctively just started to take snapshots of everything that I had in a conversation, because I knew I probably wouldn't be able to access some of it down the road one day. typically with something like this, if a case is closed, you can't go back and see sort of those conversations. PayPal you can. I haven't figured out how to see all those conversations in eBay. So I started taking all those screenshots when the cases were still open. Thankfully I did, because I was able to go back and reference them. But yeah, that is how I won my very first PayPal case. Okay, if you like this, please, or even if you didn't like it, but you found something interesting or educational and you learned something new here, please hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so that way anytime that I post any new content, it lets you know right away when it happens, so that you can go ahead and stay up to date with everything that I post here yeah, good stuff. Anyway, appreciate it. Love you guys. Take care. And we'll talk to you on the next video. Peace.